Hey everybody, today is Passion Sunday or Palm Sunday, and with today's celebration we mark the beginning of Holy Week and an interesting shift in our participation in the saving work of Christ, which culminates, of course, in his death and resurrection. And we can hear in the word passion the idea of suffering, which we've commemorated in today's story of Jesus' crucifixion and death. But we also hear in the word passion the idea of passivity. Until now, that the story of Jesus kind of redeeming the world has focused almost exclusively on his activity, what Jesus does for others. He preaches, he teaches, he heals, he forgives. And now as we enter into Holy Week, the focus of the gospel writers shifts and looks at not what Jesus does to others, but rather what others do to him in rejecting him and condemning him and causing him to suffer. And this shift marks an important, direction for our spiritual lives. And that is, there will always be a limit in terms of the good we can do for others, and we ought to do that. It's an important way to proclaim the kingdom. But these days call us to recognize the power of passivity in the gospel sense. It's not just the good we do for others, it's the way we carry the bad that others do to us, not giving it back in kind. Jesus takes suspicion and jealousy and bitterness and rejection and gives it back not in wrath and punishment, but in mercy and compassion. We can do the same. God knows there's all kinds of suffering and hurt and wounds in life. Our relationships aren't perfect and we get wounded along the way. We share powerfully in the work of redemption when we imitate Christ and his passivity. It's not always the things we do for others. It's how we carry the things others do to us. Whatever we don't transform, we simply retransmit. And that's something worth thinking about. One last thought, Jesus stands inside the prophetic tradition, and the prophets had a special role, and that is that they gave voice to the grief of those who were oppressed and hurting and marginalized. They articulated grief. And the insight there is that grief has to be articulated to begin the process of transformation. We can live in a relationship for years without articulating our grief, naming our hurts, running the risk of saying, ouch. But until we vocalize, articulate grief, we kind of get stuck through numbness, through avoidance, all kinds of strategies that keep us locked in untransformed living. But if we do that for long enough, there's less and less and less of us in the relationship. And we can think of this on a large social scale. We can think about it in terms of our relationships with a partner, family member, friend. So we dedicate a week to naming, giving voice to the reality of suffering in Jesus' own paschal mystery and in the paschal mystery of our own lives, because articulating grief is the necessary first stage in the process of transformation. We name our hurts not to punish, not to mourn only, but to reach towards God's promises, what we already hold and look to in faith in the coming celebration of the resurrection.